76.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Tennis Asia podcast, and it is a Wimbledon draw special, what with first round ties having been locked in just a couple of short hours ago. And joining me to dissect the draw and therefore the prospects for players from this part of the world is Mr. Tennis Asia himself, Eddie McGee. Eddie, it's like Christmas, isn't it? But with less annoying music and maybe more crying.
Yeah, we're already here. It's only been 5 days, or even less. I don't even know. But yeah, here we
That's
are.
right, yeah.
Wimbledon's upon us, and yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. And yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Well, the draws are out. They were made earlier today. The first round itself is around about 60 hours away from now. We're going to go through the women's and the men's, focusing on players from this part of the world. We'll start with the women's, as it was out marginally before the men's. And, we might as well start with, let's start with, obviously there was a dangerous floater in the men's in the shape of Berrettini, who I'm sure we'll mention later. A very dangerous one in the women's as well, from our part of the world, Naomi Osaka. And she obviously lost to Zheng Qinwen last week in another Tennis Asia Bowl in Berlin. She's got a pretty decent first-round draw with Diane Parry, who did get to the semis in Nottingham last week, so is in a little bit of form. It'll get tricky after that, though.
Yeah, and then obviously, she's drawn against Diane Parry. Could definitely have been tougher for her. But yeah, as you mentioned, Diane Parry, she did well this week because she got to the semi-finals in Nottingham. But also, assuming, that she does actually get past that. That's not guaranteed if she does beat Diane Parry. Naomi Osaka will then have to take on either Wang Zhang, who we know is just on the comeback trail. We've talked about her recently. Or the 19th seed Emma Navarro. And yeah, so like you mentioned, Parry, a little bit of a run. I wouldn't say it was the strongest little run there. It's Nottingham, it's not the biggest tournament. But yeah, so Emma Navarro, who's the 19th seed from America, and she's currently playing in Bad Homburg in Germany, and is actually in the semi-finals at the moment, although she's a set down. So she's also coming into this with a little bit of form. But ultimately, as I say, it's such a short season grass, right?
Right.
And obviously, Osaka's not had much chance to do much herself. She had a couple of matches under her belt. That was in Roosmalen, the tournament in the Netherlands.
Right.
She got to the quarters, right? And then she lost to Andreescu, who eventually got to the final. And then she went out early against, obviously, tough first draw against Zheng Qinwen in the next tournament. But, yeah, so, obviously it could have been tougher, but I did wonder before the tournament whether Osaka, because I just feel like, in these big matches, she might be on a big court. She's used to these occasions, and it will probably bring out the best tennis in her. We saw that she can play to a very high level still in that match against, obviously, very different conditions, the French Open.
Right.
Against the Iga Swiatek, she's still clearly got incredible ability. Maybe less comfortable in terms of how she handles the ball on coming at her on these courts, the grass. I've heard I saw someone tweeting out there that this year actually the courts are not so slick and actually not too slippery, and it's a little bit quicker. So don't know if that's maybe going to benefit some of the power players a bit more this right. time. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, she does have power and serving that, but nonetheless, she's not quite as used to this surface. But even if she gets through those matches, she might have to play Victoria Azarenka. So and also Karolina Pliskova, who is unseeded, right? So and obviously I think she's a former finalist at Wimbledon, and then she recently did well.
it's a really stacked section of the draw, isn't it? Because you've got the unseeded ones. You've got Osaka. I think Sloane Stephens plays Azarenka in the first round as well. So it's a
Yeah, and
tricky part of that draw.
it's also strange now because in the past we used to have the Wimbledon specific seeding formula.
Right.
We don't have that now, and so I think it even affects it maybe more even than on the women's side than in the men's. We've got a lot of players that are coming into this. They've won tournaments, and they've got a little bit of ability, and but they've maybe not doing so well the rest of the year, and they've got so like obviously Pliskova is one of them. She's not seeded here, but she's just recently obviously been really good in the past. But then she did well in Nottingham. She got to the final and she lost in 3 sets to Katie Bolter. She also beat Ons Jabeur in that tournament. So
Right.
yeah, it's not a particularly easy section there, obviously for Osaka from her point of view. I don't imagine though the other players are going to be especially happy about having to face her either. So, and then that's just in that little section, and then you've got the second seed in Coco Gauff there. So whoever comes out of that, it could be Navarro, Osaka, Pliskova, Azarenka. They're probably going to have to end up meeting Coco Gauff in the 4th round. So tough section there, but something to look forward to, and we might get some good matches from it.
Absolutely. And moving on to former champion Elena Rybakina. Well, she has a relatively straightforward opening round against the qualifier Rus. Things get very tricky in that section after that, though.
Yeah, Rybakina, the 4th seed, former champion in 2022. Before the tournament, I was maybe expecting her to. I was looking at her as a favourite, maybe, to go on and win this tournament. Just think that even though she didn't have ideal preparation, I just think her game is just suits this well, and she had a good chance. But less than ideal preparation because she withdrew from a tournament through illness and then didn't play Eastbourne, withdrew from that before it started. But nonetheless, she's opening against the qualifier Ruse. If she does get through that one, which I expect she will, then she'll have to play Laura Sigmund or the Ukrainian Katarina Bendel. Those are matches I still expect her to get through, but nonetheless, then if she does get through it, she has to play probably Leila Fernandez in the 3rd round, although Caroline Wozniacki is in there as well with the wild card. Leila Fernandez is now currently playing in Eastbourne, although she's got to the final. She just got to the final there, so coming into this in good form. And then also, if Rybakina does get to the 4th round, the other seeds in her section are Anna Kalinskaya, who lost the final to Jessica Pegula in Berlin. That was a very tight match. Pegula had to come from behind and win in a tiebreak to defeat Kalinskaya. But, big tournament, and she did very well there. And then the other section for Rybakina is Samsonova. So Ludmila Samsonova, who has a 4-1 record against Kalinskaya. Against Rybakina. And Rybakina did play her this year, and she got that first victory over her. Those matches have all come on hard court. So this will be the first meeting. If they were to play, it would be on the grass. So, I've heard that, the grass this year is starting off a little bit less slippy, perhaps a little bit less slick, and a little bit maybe better for some of the big servers, the big hitters. So obviously that would benefit Rybakina possibly, but nonetheless, it's a really tough section for her, and which puts into doubt my previous, I was tipping her maybe to go and win the tournament, but it gets really tough because then even if she comes out that little section, the 3rd section, she may have to play in the quarters Ons Jabeur, twice runner-up, or Jessica Pegula, who, she just won that title in Berlin. She's obviously a great player, number 5 in the world. So, doesn't get any easier.
Yeah.
So.
I was saying, Pegula is actually my overall pick for the tournament, notwithstanding the loss to Raducanu last week. And it won't be Ons Jabeur, of course, because Ons Jabeur is going to struggle to get any further than past the machine, Moyuka Uchijima, in the first round.
Yeah, I like that pick,
I'm
by the
saying
way.
that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but...
Jessica Pegula, though, I don't know. I think that's not a bad pick. She plays well.
That wasn't the tongue-in-cheek bit. There was more the machine bit was.
Oh, sorry.
The tongue-in-cheek bit.
Yeah. So Uchijima, yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, we covered her before. She was our player of the week or player of the month, pretty much, for her
player of the
exploits. Her massive rise through the ranks, and yeah, she's now up at inside the top 70, right? So, brilliant for her. But then most of that is because of her form on the grass, not on the grass,
right,
on the clay.
On the clay,
she doesn't have much grass experience, and then she has to play Ons Jabeur, who is obviously twice runner-up here. Yeah, I'm not expecting Uchijima to get through that one. Jabeur maybe hasn't been in great form though recently, but then nonetheless, I would still be expecting her to get through against Uchijima. Maybe nice though for Uchijima to get that sort of big tournament experience again. She had it last time against Sabalenka. Unfortunately, she lost that one 6-2, 6-2. But yeah, for Uchijima, I'm not expecting too much. Sure. Bai is also in that section who qualified. She was the only Asian player amongst the men and women to actually come through qualies.
And she was a little bit responsible for that as well, because she put out podcast favorite Tara Rudy in the second round before beating Zarina Diaz in the final round. She's currently top 100. She got to the second round, I think you said, or you were telling me before we came on, and she's got Harriet Dart first up.
Yeah, she's obviously come through qualies. She reached the second round last year at Wimbledon. Does seem like the quicker sort of courts do favour her. Yeah, she's obviously I think she's inside the top 100 a bit fairly comfortably now. But obviously, I think her ranking must have dipped a bit before the entry cut off for the tournament, which comes about 6 weeks before the start of
right.
the slams. So but against Harriet Dart, Harriet Dart hasn't done too bad. It's obviously maybe you don't always want to play a home player, but I don't know if that's always true, because like the atmosphere can help players even if you're not being favoured by the fans there. But I do think
you're not being pressured by the fans either. So.
Well, there's always Chinese fans around. There's always so many Chinese fans around there, so there will be some for sure. I'm supporting her. Like she might be on a reasonably big court. I don't think that's a guarantee that Dart's going to come through that one. If Bai managed to get the victory, then she will have to play probably the 32nd seed, Katie Boulter. Obviously, Katie Boulter did well. She won a title as well, and has been doing well, but Katie Boulter has to play Tatiana Maria, who was a former semi-finalist at Wimbledon. But Tatiana Maria, who obviously she uses a lot of slice, which can be effective and awkward as well on the grass, where we get the slick lower bouncing. But I think Katie Boulter should get through that one. So maybe Bai can get through Dart, but against Boulter, it's going to be much tougher. As far as the Asian players in there, we've also got Wang Jinyu, who has to play against Tomova for the right to lose to Pegula in the second round. And that's probably what's going to happen. Yeah, so 5th seed Pegula, just more or less, And for Pegula, she didn't have a great start to the year after having a very good season last year, and then now she's got that tournament, that title in Berlin, the 500 title, which was great. So I definitely expect that she'll be able to come through. Might be an interesting battle between Pegula and Boulter in the third round, but we'll see how that goes.
Okay, moving to a
moving
different
on.
section of the draw, and the eighth seed, of course, is Zheng Qinwen. After she beat Osaka in Berlin, she then went and lost to Siniakova in straights in the next round. But obviously, seeded eighth here, she looks to have a comfortable opening match against the Kiwi Swiss US college product and qualifier, Lulu Sun. She's in the same section of the draw as Raducanu and Sakari.
Yeah, Lulu Sun. Yeah, previously for Switzerland, and she was also formerly known as Lulu
And we know Switzerland
Radovcic.
doesn't produce tennis players.
I mean, she was also called Lulu Radovcic before.
Okay.
So maybe you might have remembered her as that, but yeah, that was yeah. But anyway, but now Lulu Sun, yeah, qualifier for Zheng Qinwen to open up against. Pretty good draw, you would have to say. And then she might play Alison van Uitvank
Mm-hmm.
or Yulia Starodubtseva of Ukraine, who is a qualifier. Um, yeah, pretty good couple opening potential first and second round there. So for Zhang, she's the eighth seed, but she's not so comfortable on the grass. Although she had that good victory against Naomi Osaka, she did lose in the next round to Siniakova in straight sets. Obviously, with Zhang, we did talk about maybe the conditions might be a little bit quicker this year. That could be benefit to Zhang, but she has to make sure that she gets those first serves in. When she does, she's so effective. I mean, she can definitely get a lot of aces. She's hit a lot of aces against Naomi Osaka.
Right.
She'd be do well to do that. And then the other seeds that are in her section, Pavlyuchenkova. That's not too bad. That would be the first seed that she could face. So she's not been in particularly good form recently. And then Alexandrova or Sakari, it definitely could have been tougher for her. It's just a question of can she take advantage of this draw? For her to go, even to the fourth round would be very good for her on
Pretty decent
Wimbledon.
result.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, Alexandrova, that's a tough player, but she might lose to Raducanu. I don't know who's going to win that one. That's a pretty interesting tie for me. I do think though that perhaps because Alexandrova, she does have this sort of like she has good ground strokes and she likes to attack like that, which I think is possibly. I think Raducanu prefers it when she's able to get in a rhythm like that. So I mean, yeah, it'll be an
Right.
interesting match though. But Sakari, yeah, ninth seed, but Maria Sakkari, but that's she's not been doing too much recently that would convince me that would be. But from that section, you've got to say, well, yeah, I mean, Shang, she might get to the fourth round, but I know that like all of those players are going to be fancying their chances to get through. So it'll be interesting to
Right.
see who actually does get through. Now Habino's there of Asian interest, Japanese player. She has to play Elise Mertens, but then would probably have to, if she does come through that, play Alexandrova, or well, she will have to play Alexandrova or Raducanu. So
Right.
yeah, those are not. It's a very tough one. And then perhaps it is a chance. So Zheng could actually get through to the quarters. However, if she does, probably awaiting for her is Arina Sabalenka, or potentially,
Well,
uh,
she's
probably.
seeded eighth, so she should expect to meet someone seeded higher than herself if she does get through to the quarters, I guess.
Yeah,
That actually that's what a couple of other Asian players in it. Wang Jiyu placed Donna Vekic for the right to get Sabalenka in the second round, which links up with that part of the draw. Wang Yifan has Shmied Lover, Madison Keys awaits in round two. I know one you were sort of interested in is Putin versus Kerber
yeah. Just like obviously
in the Swiatek part of the draw.
That's right. Yeah, this first section with Swiatek. Swiatek opens against Sophia Kenin. I think that's not too bad for her. But then, Yulia Putin Seva of Kazakhstan. She is going to play the former champion. It's been a while ago now that she won that, though. That was Angelique Kerber, who's been given a wild card. And yeah, of course, the Wimbledon are going to give her a wild card if she's a former champion. If she wants it, that's not too surprising. But it's obviously Kerber. She can play on the surface. But Putintseva, she actually won a title. On grass. So coming into this, so she's coming in good form. I don't know if that's going to be enough necessarily to take her through very far, because obviously she's got Swiatek coming up. But yeah, she won that title in Birmingham, and she beat Tomljanovic in the final. Although and then she didn't play in Bad Homburg. She was going to, but she didn't play. But yeah, now coming here to play, Angelique Kerber. Potentially interesting. The winner of that would play Siniakova. Perhaps, though, Putintseva has a little path to the third round, but yeah, Swiatek. I think Swiatek's in the space now where obviously she won that title, the French Open. Yeah, grass isn't her surface, but I just, obviously she being number one, I don't think we can say, she's going to go out early. I think she probably will get through at least those first few rounds. Then potentially, though, she will play Ostapenko in the fourth round. I know you're fond of Ostapenko. But, of course, Ostapenko is actually the player that's got a 4-1... Was it 4-0 record, I think? Ostapenko against Swiatek. So one of the few players that has a winning record against her. Ostapenko, though, opens against Tomljanovic, so there's definitely no guarantees that Tomljanovic has got wild cards, so there's no guarantee that Ostapenko, you could easily see Ostapenko crash.
We'll still be in the tournament by that point. Yeah.
But if she does get there, maybe, yeah.
Well, if she does go there, I mean, we know she's got the tools to go deep on grass. So anything could happen. One other tie of kind of, I'm not sure it's going to be of much interest in terms of the result, but Zhang Shui against Kasatkina. Zhang using her protected ranking.
For Daria Kasatkina, you would have to imagine she's pretty happy with that opening draw.
Handpicked that draw, yes.
Because Zhang Shui, she's a doubles player, and she's obviously focusing mostly on that. But I think that she has, a really long losing streak now in singles. So I'm not expecting that to change suddenly. So it was Kasatkina. So she just beat Raducanu, right? And so she's currently playing in Eastbourne semi-finals. She's actually up. It's in the final set, the one set each, but actually she's down a break against Paolini, but still early in that third set. Nonetheless, so it's just showing that she's playing not bad. And Kasatkina's she's more of a clay court player, but she is quite a tricky sort of player that she thinks a lot. She's the thinker on the court, and she's quite unpredictable like that. And I would say that's why she's able to do well even on grass, even though she's able to get results on all the surfaces. That's going to be really difficult for Zhang. I do expect Kasatkina at least to get through to the third round.
Okay,
because at least the third round.
The women's. The women's side, are you sticking with Rybakina as your overall
for the tournament?
For the tournament, yeah.
Yeah, Rybakina. I'm honestly doubting her now. I think that actually looking at the draw, I think actually there's a good path there for Sabalenka to get to the final, and so it could very well be a final between Sabalenka and who you mentioned before, which was your pick, Pegula. I could definitely see that. That could be quite a possibility. So unfortunately for Tennis Asia. I'm not particularly confident, just
Yeah.
because as well she hasn't had the ideal preparation coming in. So I mean, maybe she doesn't need
Sure.
it, Rybakina, but just that she's got a lot of potential banana skins there. So yeah, maybe Sabalenka is the one I lean more towards now.
Okay, let's talk men. The men's draw was also made today. We'll start off with triple Z, Zhang Zhizhen. He is the 32nd seed, and he plays, I believe, Maxime Money Janvier in the first round, who came through qualifying and was very happy about it, to the extent it seems he's already spending the 70,000 euros that he's won, or he's guaranteed himself for losing in the first round.
Oh yeah.
Oh, did you
Oh,
not
was that
see
right?
this?
Oh no, I don't know what's
He
that
went
about.
viral in France for he suddenly started screaming money when he won the game, when he won the match to actually qualify for the main tournament.
Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. Is that? Yeah, well, I know Maxime Janvier from he's a challenger tour player, so
He
I
started
guess
yelling
this is a
house, house, house. I've bought a house or something. But
okay. Yeah, I mean, this is only the other than the French Open, which he would have got wild cards for. This is the only other slam that he's qualified for. So this is like I mean, I guess you could say the only one that he's sort of really qualified on his own merit. Yeah, coming through quali. So that's obviously
right.
great for him. But yeah, I mean, for Zhang Zhizhen, he did get a great run before coming into this tournament. He got to the semis, which we talked about in Berlin.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Berlin. Halle.
Is it Halle?
Yeah, yeah, the ATP Halle in the one that Yannick Sinner went on to win. Yeah, but
Yeah.
for Triple Z,
I still
for
call
Triple
that one the
Z,
Jerry Weber Open, which it hasn't been for about 20 years. But
yeah, well, I remember when it was.
I
Yeah,
still call
yeah.
Queens of Stella Artois as well.
Zhang Zhizhen, though, I would expect should come through that one.
Yeah.
He's shown that he can perform on this surface, but then also, if he does get through that, he might have to play Jan Leonard Struff or Fabian Marozsan. Marozsan, to his credit, did give
And then Medvedev.
Sinner a good battle, but yeah, potentially, I still think that he can get through that one. But yeah, potentially another third round battle, another meeting against Medvedev, who he beat in Halle. I think that was in the quarterfinals. So, or no, was it the round of 16? Yeah, it was the round of 16. But nonetheless, yeah. Good victory because he came through in the 3 sets against Medvedev. Could lightning strike twice? I'm not too sure because over 5 sets, it's a different sort of proposition, isn't it, in these matches? But obviously, as I said with Zhang, he's a 32 seed. This is obviously it's historic actually for Chinese players. It's the first Chinese man to be seeded at a Grand Slam, so that's amazing for him. And as I said, he just keeps sort of surprising people by just steadily going up and up and up. So we'll see if maybe he could actually give Medvedev a scare again and take that match. Yeah, I still think though that if the Struff and Marozsan, potentially Jan Leonard Struff could be difficult though. So we'll see how that goes. And then you've got Grigor Dimitrov in that section, who actually will probably go on to play either. If he'll probably get through that one, but then he might play either Christian Garin, who's the qualifier, or Jerry Shang. So of course we can. Yeah, the other Chinese player in the same section as Zhang is Jerry Shang, the 19-year-old who's on the up. Yeah, so he's just got to the quarterfinals after coming through qualies in Eastbourne. So that was a great little run for him. He also ran Taylor Fritz very close in the quarterfinals. It went to 2 tie breaks. And also beat Thomas Martin Echeverry in 3 sets, another tough match, and then another 3-setter against Rusevori. These are solid players that he's come through against, and then to run a guy like Fritz close, it does bode well. He's maybe peaking or hitting form, I could say, at the right time. Christian Garin
that
though
time. Yeah,
is qualified, so maybe got to be a little bit wary. In slams, it can always be
he
tough.
played. I think he played Ilkley last week. I think he did okay, and his ranking's not that much beyond behind Shang. I mean, it's around about
Yeah,
110, 111 right now. So
and Garin 2 years ago he reached the quarterfinals at Wimbledon,
yeah.
so he does have a game that works well on the surface. Shang, I would say, is playing at a higher level at the moment, but so yeah, as you say, well, I mean, it's a slam, so a lot of tough matches. Even if Shang gets through that one, it's probably Dimitrov who plays excellently on grass. So very tough, but these should be opportunities that he should relish. I mean, he's the second youngest, or he was the second youngest player in the top 100. I think he might have dipped out, but he should be back up
Right.
again after Eastbourne anyway. Yeah, he'll definitely back in the up near the 80 or so. Or 90, yeah, but nonetheless, well inside the top 100. So, yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see if you can actually maybe get a result against. Because I mean, I think the biggest player I saw that I was at that tournament in Hong Kong where he beat Francis Tiafoe. So that was a big result for
Right.
him. And then he didn't get the result against Rublev, but he did win a set. So he's sort of been knocking on the door with tough. You ran Fritz close. Obviously, these experiences coming, and maybe at some point, he's going to get the breakthrough. It could be this tournament. We'll see.
Okay. Now, moving on. I guess if he won Wimbledon, that would be grounds for a special military exemption for Kwon Soonwoo, just like getting to the semi-finals of the 2002 World Cup was grounds for exemption for the football team. Um, to do so, he's another one who's used his protected ranking, and he hasn't played any warm-ups on grass at all. We last saw him playing doubles in Daegu a couple of weeks ago, and he's got Holger Rune in the first round, but Holger won't necessarily be punching the air at that matchup, will he?
Yeah, that's right. Because Kwon, in spite of the fact that let's say he's not quite at the level he was at. But Kwon has played Holger Rune twice before, and he won both their matches. So he's got a 2-0 record. Admittedly, the first one came quite a while ago. I think that was on clay. It was in an ATP like 250 or something. Yeah, Kwon won that, and that was when Rune was quite young. And then the last time they played was a 5-setter. I think, yeah, that was at the Australian Open, and Kwon
Mm-hmm.
came through that in 5 sets. So it was an exciting match, and I think maybe Rune was cramping a bit. So yeah, I don't expect Rune to be doing that again. I think he's moved on a bit since then, but for Rune, he's actually since then he rose up to what, like sixth in the world, or up near
Right.
playing brilliantly, won a Masters title, and since then he's fallen down a bit. So, and then I wouldn't say that that his grass is his best surface, right? He's
Right.
he's got a great. I mean, he got a quarterfinals before, so we shouldn't discount him on that. But like, I think he can play on any surface really. But I mean, yeah, probably clay is where he's going to have more success. But yeah, for Kwon, I mean, I would say that it could be a tricky one for Rune because Kwon, he might not get the win, but I would say that most of the time when he has played in slams, I feel like he's done pretty well by his own standards. If you know what I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's had some decent, because you
Yeah.
remember, and we think also back to Wimbledon, he played Djokovic. He took a set, and that was quite a good match.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember matches that he's played against Shapovalov. He's played against. I mean, obviously, recently he got a victory straight sets against Rusevori. Kind of wasn't expected, and then he gave
Right.
Korda a pretty decent match. So he seems to enjoy these occasions. So yeah, I don't think he's going to have much pressure of Kwon. He hits pretty flat. His service is quite good for his height. So it's yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. That one, it could be a good match.
it's not necessarily in our purview, but we can say it is because he spent a lot of time on the Asia Challengers swing. But were Kwon to come through that match, he could potentially play the wild card, Paul Jubb, in the second round, who just got the victory of his life.
Yeah, Paul Jubb. Yeah, he just beat Ben Shelton, who was the
Ben
number one seed
Shelton.
in Mallorca. Yeah,
Yeah,
who's ranked 14 in the world. So
yeah.
yeah, so whoever comes through that one, I don't think either Runa or Kwon probably still Runa will get through. Having to play Jubb, that's not ideal. But then Thiago
Not ideal on
Seyboth-Field,
grass. No.
he's a young ish player where he's 24 now, but I think this is his first Wimbledon that he's playing now. But
Right.
yeah, Jubb with the way he's playing, you'd fancy him to get through that one. In that section, I mean, it's hard really to look past Runa. I think if Kwon gets,
Yes,
if he beats that, that's yeah, just he'll be happy to probably just to take his monies and move on to the what is it, the Olympics?
Right.
That's
Do,
the
do a
Olympics.
Maxime Janvier. Yeah. The Olympics is the do or die, really. Yeah. Sumit Nagal, he's got Kekmanovic. Kekmanovic coming in off a string of, I think, 3 first round losses in Rosmalen, Halle, and Eastbourne. Not actually won a match since Roland Garros. So winnable first
Really?
match, possibly
No.
for
Kecmanovic.
Sumit. I think so. Am I wrong?
Uh, no, he lost in. So Kecmanovic, he lost in the tournament in the Netherlands, Rosmalen, and then he lost in Halle. But he actually did win a couple matches in Eastbourne. So he beat Triple Z in that first match, and then he just beat Sebastian Baez, but then lost to Max Purcell in the quarters. So I mean, at least he got a few matches under his belt. For Nagal, he hasn't played any grass coming into this. He's hardly played any grass in his career. Maybe he's played like one match or something ridiculous like that. So yeah, for Nagal, it's obviously he's also making a bit of history because I think it's I say history, but I think it's just the first time in 5 years that there's been a man from India in the Wimbledon draw. So
Right.
in the singles anyway, we've had a lot in the doubles, but for Nagal, it would be amazing really for him just to be able to, if he can get a victory, maybe he can get like a little bit closer than. I mean, because the match in Roland Garros, he played against Karen Khachanov. I think he got bageled, and the last set was a bit closer, but he lost in straight sets. So he may be hoping to do a little bit better this time. Hopefully, as well for him, he'll have a lot of support as well, right? Because there's always Indian fans around. So mind you, there's always a lot of Serbian fans around as well. So
Yeah.
But I mean that's what makes these. I like these early rounds as well. You see a lot of let's say maybe the less typical tennis fans coming up, and yeah, it makes a good atmosphere on these outer courts. So I look forward to that. And
I mean, watching qualifying, even with the big crowds around those courts for qualifying as well. There's a big sort of vibrant occasion. Certainly beating, well, say obviously the Challenger Tour, but beating some of the 250s in terms of atmosphere and occasion. So and also in terms of the stakes as well. A little note on Nishikori. I believe he's got a tough, potentially tough first round match. I think is it Arthur Rinderknech, who's been up as high as 50 in the world.
I mean, I think for Rinderknech,
never gone beyond round 1 at Wimbledon though.
But I would say it's not too bad for Nishikori actually, because Rinderknech, he's never won a match at Wimbledon. He is a big, tall guy that can serve well, and so he does have that in his locker. But yeah, hasn't had that success on grass. For Nishikori, though, of course, he's really struggling physically. It still wouldn't surprise me if he had to withdraw, but I think at this point he's probably going to play. If he does get through that one, though, which he could do, but grass was never his strongest surface, and then he might have to play against Fritz or O'Connell. It was probably going to be Taylor Fritz, right? The Taylor Fritz is doing well in Eastbourne, and he's had good results in the past on grass. Fritz himself has what was his best result? Yeah, he reached the quarters 2 years ago at Wimbledon. So, and yeah, I mean, he's a great player. So, yeah, Nishikori, I think, yeah, he'll just be happy to get through that first round and then see what happens in the second round. Unfortunately, Nishikori was such a high performing player. It's just a shame that that's where he is just now. But there's another couple of Japanese players though as well in the draw.
Right. Well, Nishioka is obviously in the draw as well. Again, not necessarily the easiest path through.
Yeah, I mean Nishioka though, he did get a few results recently though, didn't he? Yeah, so he drawn against Nuno Borges, or Nuno Borges, I should say. That's how it's pronounced. Nuno Borges of Portugal. He's had quite a few results this year. Nishioka came through the qualies in Eastbourne, and he got to the quarterfinal, where he lost to Alexander Vukic, who was the player that he beat in qualies, but Vukic got in as a lucky loser. So that's happened before,
That's happened. Didn't that happen in Miami as well, or something?
Well, remember we talked about Kwon Soonwoo. Kwon Soonwoo was the last man to actually win a title as a lucky loser. That was the beginning of last year. And he lost to Thomas Makac, and then and then got in as a lucky loser. And then the first round he played Thomas Makac and beat him in straight sets. And so that was very apt, I think, lucky loser then. No, it's just some. I know some people actually say that they shouldn't have this system, but I mean, it is what it is.
Vukic
actually, he'll have to play Fritz in the semi-finals tonight, so he could be another lucky loser winner. I'm probably not expecting him to beat Fritz, but then he did beat Alexander Bublik, who we should maybe talk about.
Yeah, Bublik has drawn Menchik, hasn't he?
Yeah, so that's a very good first round tie. Jakub Menchik, who is the rising Czech player, very powerful. I mean, I don't know how much he's suited to the grass at the moment, but obviously he's still young. But yeah, has to play Bublik. Bublik is very good on this surface. I mean, he's obviously got the big serve. He just has that kind of craftiness that does well on this surface. He reached the fourth round last year. So he is someone that is, probably hoping that he can go far, but that's a tough opener against Menchik. Could be an exciting match. Menchik is, I think, he's the youngest player in the top 100. And he's just the guy as well that the first time I saw him play, he got to that final in this year, the Qatar Open. And that was, he played it, and I was, sometimes when you see players coming through and you go, well, this kid's good, right? You see an 18-year-old play that well. Yeah, he did eventually lose to Karen Khachanov, but I mean, he made a very good go of it. So that's obviously not great for Bublik, but and then if Bublik does get through, though, might have to play Zizou Bergs, another tough match potentially, and then in the third round probably Tommy Paul, who just won Queens, right? He's a very good player, and he has a lot of variety that will go well on this surface, and well, it has gone well for him. Potentially a little chance, though, because
can you imagine the presentation ceremony if Tommy Paul wins Wimbledon now? That's going to be quite special.
I know what you're referring to now.
Yeah, I thought you might. Okay. Any other ties you want to mention?
The other Kazakh, Alexander Shevchenko, who was of Russia and then switched. He is now. Well, he's opening against Ugo Umber. Very tough because Ugo's can perform very well on this surface. And then we've also got who did we not mention? Oh, the other Japanese player, which is Taro Daniel. But unfortunately for him, he opens against Stefanos Tsitsipas, and I don't think that's going to go well for him. So I still fancy Tsitsipas
Welcome to Wimbledon, Taro. Yes.
Yeah. And as far as the Asian players, I think that pretty much wraps up. Well, that's it on the men's side. As far as that goes, we've also got. We could maybe briefly mention the doubles a bit. Because we've
got the world number one. Are they still the world number one?
No. They're number two pairing. So Bopana and Ebden are the number two seeds. Yeah, but of course, Bopana and Ebden, they will have to face Manarino and Mepechi Pericard. Mepechi Pericard is the French player, the young French player who's recently sort of exploded, really. But he's very tall, and he's going to do, that's obviously very useful because he's got a lot of power on the serve. It's good for this surface, but they're in the same section as, I see the Murray brothers. I don't expect. I mean, it's really hard to know what's going to happen because we don't even know if Andy's fit. Because Andy Murray and Jamie Murray are drawn against Hijikata and John Peers. Of course, John Peers is very experienced and was, right at the top of the game in the doubles, but he's playing with Rinky Hijikata. So, but as far as, that's obviously we've got Bopana in that section. Other Asian interests, we've got, Tomasz Makach and Zhang Zhizhen. Will play again, and they should, because they've had great success in the last. They got to the semi-finals in Australia, they got to the quarterfinals of the French, and so they actually are drawn against Behar and Pavlasek, which is another. Pavlasek is a Czech player. But then also they could potentially play the Tsitsipas brothers in that second round, so that might be interesting. But although the Tsitsipas brothers have to get through the 11th seeds, and then we do have as well an all Kazakh pairing because Bublik and Shevchenko are in there, and they will play against Yuki Bambri and Albano Olivetti of France. So of course Yuki Bambri is from India. We did talk about him before. He was a singles player that has made the switch to doubles, and they're doing pretty well. So he's up near the top 50 now. So that could be an interesting little match there. But as far as the Asian interest, that's pretty much it. So we do actually have Nagal. I almost forgot. Sumit Nagal's playing doubles.
He's playing doubles as well. Okay.
Alongside Dusan Lajovic. And they will have to play the all Spanish pairing in Pedro Martinez and Jaume Munar. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, we've got the women's as well, the women's doubles, and the number one seeds. Of course, the legend that is Shea Suwei, and she's playing along with Elise Mertens. They'd open against a wildcard pairing, a British wildcard pairing of Barnett and Christie. So, not too bad maybe for them. I would expect them to do well again. And we've also, just of general interest, we've got Goff and Pegula playing doubles together. All American pairing. Kenin and Matic Sands as well. That could be the first seed that Shea and Mertens play. And then we've also got Leila Fernandez is playing alongside Ena Shibahara, who, of course, we've talked about before. So that's an interesting pairing. And they will be up against the Chinese pair, Go Han Yu and Zhang. That's Zhang Jinyu. So, they're the doubles pairing. And further down the draw of Ena Shibahara's former doubles partner, which was Shuko Aoyama. She's still playing along Serbian player Aleksandra Krunic, so they will have to face, though, the seventh seeds Dolhide and Kravchik. So, yeah, difficult opener there for them. And Wang, of interest, though, as well, for Asian interest, we've got Wang Xinyu playing alongside Zheng Sai. So Shang came back recently and has been doing well. So that's potentially, obviously, they're coming in with a protected ranking, unseeded. They'll have to play against Garcia and Mladenovic, but they could be dangerous floaters in the draw. And I think, well, yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up as much as we need to discuss. So
the doubles. I remembered I actually didn't ask you who your pick was. I asked you who your pick was for the women's. I didn't ask for the men's. I'm gonna guess it's Sinner. Or is it going to be the winner of Sinner and Berrettini in round 2?
Wow, yeah. So you just reminded me, because
that's the Swiatek and Osaka of Wimbledon, isn't it?
But the thing is, though, Berrettini, though, is he quite? Despite I don't think Yannick's going to be too happy about that. Funnily enough, he's drawn against another Yannick. In the first round, Yannick Sinner. He's drawn against Yannick Hanfmann of Germany. He should get through that one. Berrettini, though, awaits in the second round. Berrettini will play Marton Fucsovics. Berrettini, of course, he's not at the level that he was. He lost to Jack Draper.
Right.
Draper won that title, his first 250 on the grass. Berrettini, the thing is, he does have that serve, so if he has a good day, he's going to have his chances. Having said that, Sinner is an exceptionally good returner, and I think even in grass, he's worked that out. So I don't think I think Sinner will have too much for him, but yeah, it's really not ideal. And Berrettini absolutely can give him a tough match. But yeah, as far as getting through, if he can get through that, then I would still expect Sinner to make the final and, probably win it. But the point is, the problem for him is that he's got Alcaraz in his half of the draw, and so he could face Alcaraz in the semi-finals. And Alcaraz, I would say, has a fairly easy path, but although Alcaraz has to play Francis Tiafoe in the third round, or potentially Hugo Umbar. These are guys that do well on grass. Alcaraz is interesting, though, because, I don't know, maybe it's weird because he obviously he's a great player and he's won his third slam at such a young age. And I still feel he's at that sort of elite level, that you'd put up with, the sort of big three, let's say. But at the same time, his level's quite up and down in matches. I just wonder if perhaps that, he catches someone on a streak on a surface like grass, which can be fine margins, because when it can be difficult to break players sometimes. So, but it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if he's going to have any slip-ups, but it wouldn't surprise me that much if Alcaraz did lose before that he reaches that semi-final, because he might have to play Tommy Paul, like we talked about in the quarters. And I mean, Tommy Paul's playing at a very high level. So, but now and then we've also got Djokovic, who was playing, and a lot of us weren't sure if he was going to play, or kind of expecting him not to. So it's really hard for me still, though, to go against Sinner, because he is the number one player in the world, and I just think that after that, title in Halle, he just looked good. So, and Djokovic has got a good draw, though, because he could get to. I would say that until the quarters, he doesn't really have anyone that I would be too worried about. Of course, we talked about Rune, but I think that the big test for him will come in the quarters against Hurkacz, who will probably get through. So Hurkacz, former semi-finalist, he has a big serve and he has the game that's naturally good for this surface. So And then in the semis, he would face either the seeds that could be Zverev, Fritz, Korda, Tsitsipas, Rublev. I'm not sure that worries me that much if I'm Djokovic, to be honest, on grass. To be honest, I would. I mean, Jack Draper's there. Yeah.
It's all a matter of physical conditions with
I think
Djokovic,
the player that can trouble him before the final is Hurkacz. Otherwise, I would expect Djokovic to get through. And so, I mean, a Sinner versus Djokovic final would be very interesting. We haven't had that because we know that Sinner beat Djokovic at the Australian Open, but that was in the semi-finals, wasn't it? So,
right,
yeah,
okay. Thank you very much for coming on doing this preview. As I said, it's not just Christmas; it's Christmas and all your birthdays come at once. Wimbledon around about 48 hours away. I believe it's on television here in Korea. I think it's is it TVN? Is it TVN? TVN?
Yeah, the TVN, TVN. If you want to get all the courts, I believe. Hopefully,
all the courts, right?
Yeah, hopefully they'll show them all. So, otherwise, you can. For a tip for everyone out there,
I'm sure we'll find a way. Yeah. I'm sure we'll find a way. We won't advertise that, but yeah. Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure we will be discussing at least at the midway point of Wimbledon. Hopefully, we still have some tennis Asia interest in there. But for the time being, thank you very much, and speak to you soon.
Okay, cheers, Alastair.
6, 7, 6.